everybody. Thanks for joining us. I'm Bear here with Daniel and Nikki. Thanks for hopping back on to the Hype Mind. We have a special guest with us today. One of my friends, Nikki, was nice enough to hop on with us. And why don't you take a minute to introduce yourself?
So I'm Nikki. I'm 35 and I've been married for 15 years. We have 4 kids, ranging from 14 and my youngest is 8. My husband is in the Coast Guard, so we move around from like every 4 or so years.
Traveling,
And
huh? Traveling lifestyle.
Yeah.
Picking up and going, going down.
Yep. And I've been a nurse for about a year now. So
Yeah, I was super excited because I honestly can't believe it didn't click sooner, but we met through mutual friends and you were selling a vehicle. It's crazy because
that's how I enterprise people.
It didn't resonate. Yeah, that's how I meet most people. That's how I network, is through sales of vehicles. But it didn't resonate with me at first. But when we met, you were going through nursing school and you just accomplished that. And it, like I said, it didn't resonate with me until later on. But you were doing that on top of also being a mother of 4 kids and a wife, and following your husband where his career took him. So that's nuts. That's kind of what I really want to talk about today. I don't know if you want to start with a little bit about your story or anything, but that's what
Well, first of all, that's pretty impressive. Moving around, raising some kids, and then going to school at the same time. I mean, nursing, I know it's not easy, so
Yeah, I feel like it kind of didn't really like fall in my lap necessarily. Like I have done the work, but it was just a series of saying yes to like different opportunities that came up and just trying to like Alex and I trying to better ourselves. So it's not like just me or whatever. It's like we've both supported each other. And that's kind of what I think is the cool part is I never like envisioned him like supporting me in that way necessarily, but like when I started nursing school, like he was in a job where he was able to like be home every day. So he like cooked all the meals and like really stepped in a way with the kids. That it was just like really awesome, really like so helpful. It just made nursing school possible. But he does really good with the kids. I mean, especially as they're older. Like I was more of like the baby whipper, and he is more like the older kids. They go to him for like pretty much everything. So.
Gotcha. Did you always want to be a nurse, or did you want to be something else and you just fell into nursing?
Yeah, I mean, what did he say?
He said you always wanted to be a mom. That's why you started there.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I kind of, when I was little.
Hey, moms are big nurses.
Yeah. When I was little, I saw these, there was this hospital that had mass, and my mom took us there, and there was these nuns that were working at the hospital, and I was like, oh, that would be really cool and whatever. So that's where I first thought being a nurse would be cool, or like working in a hospital setting. So as I got older, people in my family didn't necessarily go to college, and I didn't really see that in my future. I'm the oldest of 13 kids, so
wow.
my parents were like, you're on your own for that.
Right.
So I wasn't sure if I was where I was called to, and that was something I really struggled with, is like, where am I called? Like I kind of had like this divisionment.
Right. So you're a cradle Catholic.
Yeah.
Very cool.
And
And that's what inspired you, was going to mass and seeing the nuns. And how old were you then?
I was like probably 8.
8. You were cool. Your
So
first hint what you wanted to do.
you said it didn't really fall into your lap. So are you kind of saying you really had to like work for it?
Yeah.
What were you saying?
So what I'm saying is like opportunities like came up. For example, um, when we got stationed back in Kodiak, Alaska, um, there just happened to be a nursing program there. Like it's an island in Alaska. Like who would have thought that there would be a nursing program there? I certainly didn't think so, but my youngest was turning like, I think he was turning 3. And my husband finished his degree. Like I'd been supporting like him and just like at home and everything, while he was in the Coast Guard and enlisted in the Coast Guard, and then doing school at the same time. So he was getting a degree for himself, and then he finished up that first year we were in Kodiak, and then he kind of just looked at me and was like, okay, it's your turn, like passing the baton kind of thing. And I was like, whoa, wait a second. No, like, but the opportunity was there. Like I know.
It's like you took care of me, I'm taking care of you.
Yeah, it totally blew me away. But then like still like doing the work to like register out of college was like, I don't know why it was so hard, but it was like,
it's a lot.
Yeah.
So
and then just all the work from there.
Right. So were your kids young when you were, starting to go to school for being a nurse?
Yeah, so gosh, if Leo was 3,
You said it was
then
between 8 and 13. Did you say that?
14. So they're 6 years apart, actually, exactly to the day. My youngest is born on my oldest birthday. It's so weird. But yeah, so my oldest would have been like 9. Yeah.
And how was that? Like, how do you manage? I imagine it's stressful coming home to kids and going to school. How did you manage that emotionally?
Well, emotionally, yeah, it was hard. Like I had to just like know that the kids were going to be okay. Like they were going to be okay if, my husband managed some things a little differently than I would manage it or whatever. And that's okay. Like we're a team, and
Right.
the different flavors will, it'll work out. I don't have to micromanage it all the time.
Uh-huh.
Did you tell us how long you've been married? I can't remember if you told us at the beginning.
Yeah, 15 years. I think I'm terrible. I'm the one that can never remember. So I think it's 16 coming up. So
that's why women get mad when men forget, because they can't remember either. They're like, dang it. Nobody knows.
Uh-huh. I gotta ask you, what kind of nurse are you? Where are you working in as a nurse?
So yeah, right now I work in the ICU, which is a lot. Yeah, it's pretty intense. It's a hard place to start. But it's feeling better. Like it's feeling more home. Like I'm okay. I feel like I can somewhat catch on to this. But yeah, it was like it was a lot at first.
Right. Well, for nurses, you're like thrown into the fire like right away. Yeah. How many years are you a nurse now?
Just almost 1. So I graduated in the summer of 2021, but my husband got transferred right away. So we got moved to Virginia for only like 6 months, and then moved to West Virginia. So
All right. Do you like moving around?
yeah, actually, I mean, I do. This last move was really a
Uh-huh.
challenge because we lived in Kodiak for 5 years. So
Right.
all
So
our
you're kind of
kids
already
are like,
starting to settle down.
yeah. But I do. I mean, I really like it.
That's good.
I grew up moving around. My dad was in the Navy.
Uh-huh.
So we lived in Spain when I was really little. Um,
Wow,
Very, so
nice.
you're already
and
kind
we,
of used to it, yeah.
yeah.
That's
Very cool. Moving around. I don't know if I could do that. Oh, just pack up and go. Be ready to move. Every
how
two
is it
years, 3 years, 4 years. Go for it. Bear, what were you saying?
he's not much for traveling. It's hard enough to get him out for a day. How is it? How is it working as a nurse now? While is your husband able to help um, compensate for your time away as a nurse? How's that going as a challenge or not?
So, it's pretty good actually. Like I only work like 3 days a week. Granted, it's
Oh,
like
nice.
12-hour days, but like 3 days a week, and then he works from home a lot. So um our oldest two are homeschooled right now, and the youngest two are they're still, in public school, so they get the short end of the stick. But
Are you
Have
working
you
nights?
no, I got days. I was so grateful.
Wow.
Yeah,
Wow, that's great. Because when you're a new nurse, oh boy.
yeah.
Nights every day. That's the
Daniel's got a lot of experience as an EMT, so he knows a little bit about the nursing world.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
just a
Oh
little
man,
bit.
yeah, no, we have some nurses who were EMTs for like years, and
Uh-huh.
they're amazing. They like so cool, calm and collected.
Right. Well, yeah, it's cool because I think it's a great way for anybody getting in the medical field. It's a great way to get your feet wet and to get some
Hmm.
experience under your belt. Because, when you just take a course for I forget how long nursing is, but and then you get thrown out there, it's like you're not ready for it.
Yeah, it's rough because I mean, I wasn't willing to take so much time when I was in nursing school to also work and gain experience at the same time. So
Right.
I was like, I'm just gonna have to figure it out and
Uh-huh.
go from book smart to street smart and figure out
Yep.
that bridge somehow.
Yep.
So it was rough. Like the learning curve was harder than I thought. I mean, granted, it's
Uh-huh.
ICU, but that's where the job opportunity was. So that's what I took. I had wanted to do like mother baby or something like that, or NICU, but I think all of the burnt out nurses went to the, like either left or traveled or went to like those
Mm-hmm.
kind of places. So
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
that's what I got.
Well, you're in Washington, right? Are you in Washington now?
We're in West Virginia, like Martinsburg area.
Okay.
Gotcha.
A lot of opportunity that'll open up at some point in the near future there. I don't
Yeah.
know.
Gotcha.
But
So how hard was school like in you know still taking care of the family? I know your husband helped a lot, but like was there moments where it was just like really stressful?
It was really I'm one of those people that really likes to get good grades, so it was like hard for me to like, okay, like this is good enough, just submit it, just it is what it is,
I don't
and move
believe it.
on.
You're not selling me on it that it was hard. Uh,
But yeah, I mean, it was just like it's like school is one of those things where it's like constantly over your head.
mm-hmm.
So that is one nice thing about working now is like, well, Alex said that, my husband, he said that that he and the kids from their perspective see me so much more now while I'm working than they did while I was in school. And
wow.
so I mean, and a lot of that was online, like doing online writing and whatever, online closses and stuff.
Close the
Mhm.
door. Like, don't talk to mom. Doesn't exist right now.
Oh my gosh. Well, yeah, I mean, I had to like close myself in a room because part of it was during COVID.
Mhm.
And so everybody would be home. So I had like one room upstairs. I had like a sound machine that I'd put on. So like I can't like be distracted by like people having issues or whatever.
Right, right, right. Oh yeah. When I mean that's the like if there's like a little bit of noise going on sometimes and I'm trying to work, it could be the most distracting thing. And it's like when you're in a house with a family, it's like 10 times worse.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think I do remember your classmates saying you always had, the music, the jukebox going in the back really loud. They didn't know it was up while you were always throwing a party, but it was to hide the kids, the family.
Oh man. Yeah, it was yeah,
So
it was wild.
I'd be curious of your opinion in regards to this, because one of the reasons um, that I wanted to have you on was because you sought a degree while already being a wife and a mother, and you weren't just a mother; you were a mother to 4 kids. Um, and like, I think with where our culture is right now, it typically promotes women to go into the workforce, which I don't think is bad if that's what they want to do. But I think it very quickly closes the door to them believing or feeling encouraged or motivated to go into motherhood if they'd rather do that. Which there's a lot of reasons why that can be tough and challenging, and why it's maybe easier or better to go into the workforce. But you pulled off the college degree, pursuing something you wanted to do while also being a mother and a wife. And so, what would you say in regards to that to anybody who might be in their late teens, early 20s, and they're like, what do I do? Like, I want to be a mother. I also want to get a degree. People want me to enter the workforce. My family wants me to go to college. What advice would you have?
Hmm. Yeah,
Stumped you.
I mean, I think you do have to like it's very hard to like dig deep and just listen, like block out all of the noise and just listen um on the inside and just figure out what it is that you want to do or you're being called to do.
Yeah.
Alex and I got married very young. Like I was 19 and a lot of people recommended that we didn't get married. Our parents were supportive, but a lot of people told us, like travel the world, like do all these things before you get tied down or, before you don't ever have time for anything. But I don't know. I personally think that's the wrong mentality because we've traveled the world together despite,
True.
being
Being
married.
married.
And, if if there's and it depends on what your opportunity is too. Like if the opportunity is in front of you of going to college or whatever, and if you want to do that, if there's something you want to pursue, or if there is a relationship that you want to pursue, and you both are being like super honest and open about, this is exactly what we want, like, sharing your dreams with each other so that each other knows where the other one wants to go with their life.
Yeah.
um I think maybe just like whatever, like see what, I don't know, I guess that's what always has led me is like whatever opportunities, and then if I have the drive to want to do the work to make that a thing.
Kind of
Yeah.
looking for the open doors you have, selecting between them instead of trying to force your
I
way
mean, that's
around.
hard because, yeah, and I mean, if if you're a young woman and you want to have a family and you whatever, but there is like no person to like, haven't met somebody that you want to have a relationship with. I mean,
Right. What are
you
you going to
can't
do
really
until then?
pursue marriage yet.
Right,
Yeah.
right. Takes
No, I,
two.
I agree with that. You guys got married right around 2008, if I'm doing the math right.
2007.
2007. Okay. Yeah, I mean, even then, I feel like all through the 2000s, everybody's like, oh, the divorce rate's 50%, you know, marriages, don't get married young. Like that, our culture was very already with that. And so like, yeah, it doesn't help that everybody's telling you, for the most part, you have to pretty much do this. It's great that your family and your parents were so supportive on both sides. But it's just one of those things I think a lot of people are very aware of, is that the culture definitely leans heavier towards a very obvious side in regards to stuff like relationships and the workforce and money and where women and men stand or should stand. So that's one of the reasons I really love your stories, because yeah, part of it's opportunity and part of it was, you know, you knowing that that's what you wanted when that opportunity came up and putting in the work. But it's great to be able to say, look, the path that people tell you is not possible or is rarely possible is completely possible.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of narratives.
Yeah. I mean, sometimes it's really hard. And it depends, like, you know, you both have to be really on board for some of the things to work. You know, I mean, I've seen a lot of people, you know, we did a lot of hard work, but also I don't think we overextended ourselves. Like I've seen a lot of people where like both parents are going to school at the same time, and they're both working at the same time. They're doing insane, like they're accomplishing like incredible stuff, but we also like prioritized like, I don't know, like having our family structure being very sound, and like having somebody who had their who wasn't like in the midst of like school, and like, you know, somebody who was sane that could ground the family. And just be like,
strategy.
Yeah, like the other day, I mean, even now we do that sort of stuff. Like our kids have been sick for like a month. It's been ridiculous, just like sharing like the pukes or whatever. And
that's what happens.
I know. And
it's always so one of them.
I know it really is, and I'm done. But I like sprayed all the doorknobs with vinegar. I was like, this has to stop.
You sprayed the doorknobs. Oh, you're just
but yeah, our kid Jerry, he was like, I feel good enough to go to school, and Alex and I were like, I don't know, like, you know, do we let him go to school? Do we not? He was just, you know, he's just getting over his sickness and stuff. So I told Alex like he had to be at work for something. So I was like, well, maybe I can spot you. Like, I think I can maybe leave during my shift. Like I've seen other people do that for like sick kids, you know. And I've been there a little bit longer, so I'm like, okay, you know, maybe I can leave if he needs me to pick him up. And then that day, my patient coded and died, and then the school nurse called me like right after that. I was like, worst timing. But he was fine. He was like, you know, he's like, I'm just gonna eat lunch and see how I feel. And thankfully it all worked out. But it's like, you know, we just make sure that like we have each other's back too.
Yeah. Well, and one of the first things you said was, yeah, it was hard. And like, that's the thing, is no matter what route you take, your life is going to be hard.
Yeah.
Even the people who don't work and don't live healthy lifestyles have hard lives, because, you know, like even at the laziest you could possibly be without any motion in your life is still hard because your health deteriorates or something. There's always a balance. And so, yeah, whether you're living a productive life by pursuing marriage and a family and education one person at a time, or whether you're single and going through college or going into the workforce, like it's always hard in its own way. And so I don't know, that shouldn't be a deterrent necessarily from a path that you want, you know?
Yeah. And you know, I have felt like silly sometimes, like, oh, I'm like, you know, the old person going to college or whatever, but you know, and like, oh, we've done it backwards, you know, compared to a lot of people, or like, you know, I've done it backwards where, you know, I had kids first and then, but it's worked out so well for us that I'm
Yeah.
just really grateful.
Well, especially considering the number of people who waste a lot of time and money and energy in college when they don't really want to be there.
Yeah.
I was, for the small number of classes I took, I was so glad I took them when I did at 22, 23, instead of at 18 or 19, because like I wouldn't have paid any attention. I would have blown that stuff off. I wouldn't have cared. So, yeah.
Yeah. I have a question though. Was there, like, how did you discern these big decisions? For example, getting married at 19, or you know, deciding to do nursing school. What that process look like? Was there anybody that inspired you?
Oh gosh. It sounds really terrible. I can't think of anything, anybody that inspired me. Um,
Just
but
looking for
um, so for getting married, I so Alex and I became friends when my dad was stationed in Washington State, and he so my dad was stationed there for 2 years, and so I met Alex when I was 14, and then when I was 16, my dad transferred down to San Diego, California. So we did a long distance relationship for 3 years from when I was 16 to when I was 19. And then we got married. But um I still had kind of this in the back of my head. I had this idea that, you know, I was just felt called to religious life when I was little or younger. And then so I went to a few convents just to pray and just know that I went there, you know, I talked to Alex about this and everything. And I was like, I just have to do this just to like know that I totally put myself out there. So for like a week, I went to a place in Nebraska and then one in South Dakota. So I just kind of just hung out there for a week. And then I didn't really get to hang out with the nuns there because they were cloistered. So it was kind of extreme. But basically I just had a lot of time by myself to pray and think about everything.
Wait, was this when you're starting to was this during the long distance relationship?
Yeah, so I think I was 18. And so I was like, wait, before I know like he could propose or anything like that, I just wanted to be able to like say a definite like I just wanted to have it sorted out. I wanted to say a definite yes or definite whatever.
He pulls a ring out and you're like, well, I might actually go to the convent, so give me a month.
Yeah.
That would look kind of bad.
Well, good for you for doing that, because I imagine it's difficult to, you know, tell him, hey, you know, not really saying you have cold feet, but you're like, I gotta check this out.
Yeah.
And having the courage to do that. And for those of you who are, you know, religious, and or those of you that are, you know, discerning between like, hey, am I gonna get married? Or who are Catholic and are like, am I gonna, you know, join a religious order or something like that? It doesn't mean to go and visit in, you know, whatever it is, a convent, you know, a monastery, doesn't mean that you're going to be a monk or a nun or whatever, right? Just to do that can benefit you in spiritually in so many ways, and just to kind of get your feet wet and see what that's like, because you never know, right? There's so many unknowns, and just going down that path, you don't really fully commit to it, but you just take a look.
Yeah. And for me, I was like, I could say I did it. I went there, I prayed, and I didn't want to have any regrets. I wanted to have a full yes for what I wanted to
Mhm.
do, like if I was to get married.
And a key
I don't
part
know.
of that. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, you're fine.
Keep rolling. I won't lose it.
So gosh, where was it?
A key
But
part
yeah,
of that.
Alex, it's okay. Alex said that he knew that we were fine the whole time. He was like, "Oh no, I knew that it was gonna be fine." He's
I
like, "I
love
knew
it.
I had you." I'm like,
What a confident guy. I love it. It's great. Yeah, but you needed some clarity.
Look, he can make her laugh off screen too. What a win. Or away, whatever. You know what I mean? Yeah. So, I think a big part of that though that you mentioned earlier was you were like, I stepped away and I had this time in silence to make this decision. And I think there's so many people. I'm definitely guilty of it too, where we leave that out. We don't give ourselves the space to like be with ourselves in silence without distractions to contemplate a decision or something that might be an important turn in our life. And so when you brought that up, I was like, yeah, that's a very significant part.
Mm-hmm. When I asked you, how did you discern, right, these big decisions? I mean, your marriage, you answered it right there. You had to look at the other side and see what that was like. And that must have helped you discern and, have clarity about your decision to get married.
Yeah.
And do you think that was a waste of time doing that? Or do you think it was like, do you see the benefits today from actually doing that?
Yeah, I mean, it's totally given. I mean, it just instantly gave me peace of mind and like lasting peace of mind that, I'm like doing what I'm called to do, and like, I put the time and the effort into figuring it out, and yeah, I mean it really, like, I'm glad I went with that gut feeling because yeah, I had so much peace. I mean, especially now it feels like it's been such a long time, but especially like when I was first married and everything, it was nice to like not ever have to like feel like maybe I made the wrong decision or
Right.
anything like that.
Yeah, right. Nice.
So yeah, maybe I wasn't like true to myself or something. But yeah, no, I mean, and I think the other thing is like Alex and I constantly talked about like we were just so honest with each other about everything. I think the first time he called me on the phone, he told me that he wanted to be an army ranger. And granted, he was like 16 or whatever. What 16-year-old doesn't want to be like special forces, right? But but it was like so deep, and I knew that like I was just like, I wanted to support him in that, like whatever it was, that's not what he ultimately chose. But I feel like it could have been anything. But yeah.
Yeah. I just lost my thought. I had a
Oh
great
no.
thought. I had a great question. It was a two-part question. Oh man. It'll come back.
All right. So how is your are you still practicing as a Catholic today?
Yeah.
Yeah. How is your faith helping you today?
Oh
Do you
gosh.
see it
I think
as a
it's huge because it sucks sometimes to be in healthcare, right? And I think people don't see, like, you get like, I mean, there's a lot of cool nurses, but sometimes I'm like, you guys are acting like I would never let my kids act. Like, you don't just have a fit. And I mean, that could happen, I'm sure, in any workplace, but especially like when you have people dying or you're seeing families like treat each other so poorly, or it's just such an emotional drain
Hmm.
to constantly be there and feel like you would like to sit with this patient more, but you have to run and get meds for the other patient or whatever. um I know like there's a lot of people trying to bring about like resilience training and stuff like that, and I think that is really cool. Like, I think some of it can get kind of silly, but I think some of it is like really rock solid. But I think just like having the sacraments, going to mass, and just being able to empty all that out and be filled with um just be filled with Christ again, because you can't just keep pouring yourself out. There's just not going to be anything left to give. So yeah, I think probably more than ever, like, because you just see so many people. There are so many people that you see, and it's just like everybody is like in the worst place in their life at the moment that you're seeing them, and it's a lot. It's a lot.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah, I think that definitely shows up in healthcare pretty easily. Yeah, so I remembered my question, which I'm very proud of myself for because I consciously forget at least half of the things I'm thinking about. At any rate, you mentioned you felt like you had this clarity of the word you used wasn't direction, but basically you were implying that you believed you knew what your purpose was after you'd taken the time to separate and think about things and make sure you were making the right decisions. So my question was, you believe every person has a unique purpose to fulfill in life?
um I think I think it's more of I think it's more of a potential
Okay,
uh
I like that.
to like make the most of yourself that you can, like explore, I don't know, just like explore how disciplined you can be in order to like make something, like, be a well put together person, and be able to like give back to your family and your community. And I know that probably wasn't described very well,
No,
but
I
I like
understood that.
that. How
Yeah.
disciplined you can be a well put together person. You use some really good words because that's very well said, honestly. Because it doesn't really leave a lot of room for people to take it the wrong way where they're not actually growing. Because right now I think there's a lot of go and explore, but they leave out the the disciplinary portion and the becoming a better, more well put together person, and those are also very key. So I like your opinion. Yeah, cool. Um, yeah, it was just a random thought because a lot of people are struggling with that, and I think a lot of people are struggling to find purpose in their life. They're struggling to find responsibility or the right responsibility, and
Hmm.
so to be able to hear that from someone else is really important. To be able to hear that from someone who is is confident that they are making the right choices and are on their purpose, so to speak, or doing what they're called to do. I think that's what you said, your calling. um, that's it's what people need to hear in a lot of cases, so thank you. Dan, did you have anything
Awesome.
else?
Just last thing of I I admire your story of getting married young and pursuing this career into nursing, and how you seemed like you weren't really fighting anything. It more of you took you just took the path that presented itself to you and did well, right? Did your best. And 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 that's great. And sometimes I feel like people think, oh, I need to take the hard path, right? I need to challenge myself, and you you've come out on the other end with a smile. So I think that's
Yep.
great. Andrew, you want to finish
Yeah.
with anything?
It,
But
I mean, it's, go ahead.
I would just build on that and say you did pick the path that presented itself, but you picked a path that you knew was a good, like a righteous path in a sense. It brought you to be a better person. You didn't just pick a path in front of you, an easy path. You picked the better of the options, I guess.
Yeah. And I just want to say, like, real quick, there are so many hard times too, where you're like, this sucks. Whether it's like, marriage, in your marriage, or like with you, like for me, one of the things that I was kind of remembering was that with the kids, and I did feel some guilt when I was in nursing school and having so much time away from them. So I picked one thing. I remember thinking to myself, if there's just one little thing I could do to make it feel like, because my husband was assuring me, like, you're still here, you're still your mom, you're still, but I just needed for myself to choose something to make it feel like I was like giving something to them, even though I was still doing a lot for them,
Right.
obviously. But I chose to read to them at night. So at night I would just like sit there and just read a little bit to them, so they, like, in the hallway, so like they could all hear from all their bedrooms. But and that gave me comfort, because I felt like we were connecting a little bit. They were, I was taking time out of my day, I was prioritizing that time with them. um and then, I mean, in marriage too, I mean, there are just times where it freaking sucks. It feels like you guys are talking separate languages. Like, it's like,
Right.
how are we married for like a million years, and now like we cannot even speak the same language? This is dumb. But just like constantly like being incredibly honest, and even though you feel like this is going to make things so much worse, tactfully being honest in like the most loving way possible, um, it will make it better. It just has every single time.
I love that. That's great. Honesty, always in the most loving way, always. This is a great place to finish off. Would you? Is there anything you'd want to share? Actually, I won't give you that option. What would you like to share? If there's one thing you could share with everybody as a final note of encouragement or whatever, what message would you want to share with anybody who might be doing?
Oh my gosh. Probably just this sounds really lame, but just like do the next right thing and find what gives you that spark, or like brings you joy, and like share that with the people around you. So um like the next thing, that just figure out the next thing that is going to like benefit your life. For me, a lot of times it's working out, and like it puts me in a better mood and everything. And then also finding um just what makes you happy, really, and just sharing that with the people around you. I think that sets me up, that sets my attitude up for success in the grind. I mean, life is gets the grind can get you down, but yeah, those two things
Mhm.
are
Right.
what I would say.
Do the next right thing.
Even
And
though it
find what
sucks,
you
like
enjoy.
nobody wants to wake up early and go to the gym, right?
No. But that could usually
And
be
find
the
what
next
you
step,
enjoy
the
and
next
share
right
it with
step to
others.
take. And a lot of us are thinking, 10 steps ahead when it's just, no, just focus on the next one.
Focus where you're at. Live in the present. Well, it's been a pleasure having you on with us, Nikki. Thanks so much for joining. Daniel, thanks for joining. And yeah, I hope your family's doing well. Tell them all I said hello. Well wishes to all of you, and go keep killing it as a mother and a nurse and a wife and everything else.
Thank you guys so much.
All right. Thanks, Nikki.
All of us here at the Hive Mind. Peace out.
Peace.